Oh, it's so great to be at Republican Jewish Coalition. Hey, Sid Rosenberg, how are you? You know, as I'm here, I'm thinking of Sheldon Adelson, David Flom, Jeff Feingold, Sam Fox, so many people through the years who helped to build the Republican Jewish Coalition into being such an important, monumental, impactful group to make sure that in a year like 2025, with the crossroads that was facing our country last year, that we have Donald Trump back in the White House, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate to save the greatest country in the history of the world. I'm looking out and seeing a lot of friends. You know, it feels like I'm home being with all of you. You know, over the course of your time in elected office, as all of you have been active, you meet people the first time, you don't know what kind of a relationship you may be forming, and then years later you realize it's permanent. There are so many people here in this room who are lifelong dear friends. And I thank you for everything that you have done through the years, the mentorship, the support, and your continued activism. We always need to be doing everything in our power to fight for this republic that is a republic worth fighting and even dying for. Too many people sit on the sidelines, discouraged, deterred, intimidated by voices that make it uncomfortable to participate in this arena. But when you have deep conviction and principle, you know what you're fighting for, you believe in that flag, you want to ensure that this Constitution and our freedom and our liberties are enduring. You can't sit on the sidelines. I have the great honor and privilege of serving in the cabinet of a great president who formed an amazing cabinet. President Donald J. Trump is back in the White House, and many thanks to the Republican Jewish Coalition for making that possible. I got a call from President Trump recently, very late at night. And yeah, he's wide awake, he's working. The conversation ends where he wants me to call two other members of the team, one cabinet member and another head of an agency, and then get back to him. And I'm looking at the time and I'm wondering, when he says get back to him, does that mean like tonight? Because tonight is, well, it's actually tomorrow because it'll be after midnight. He says, whatever time it is, call me back. I called the first person up, reached him right away. Quick conversation, 5 minutes done, fantastic. Then I had to call the cabinet member. He doesn't answer the phone. I leave a message, and I'm trying to contact him every way I know possible, and I'm being as relentless as I can, trying to reach him as quickly as I could. Fortunately, I eventually hear back from him. We have our conversation, and now I'm looking at the time. Do I really call back the president at this time? Well, he said, whatever time it is, call me back and I'll be up. I give him a call. He answers the phone right away. He's wide awake. You would think it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You'd think that, you know, for a normal person that they're loaded up on 6 espressos. I mean, he is going. I update him on the conversations, and he immediately is talking China and India, having conversations with other world leaders, and he's into it. And by the way, the topic that I was speaking to him on was something that, you know, he sounded emotional and passionate and worked up over. But when you might be just about to think that it's a topic that would be getting to him, his tone changes. And I could tell on the other side of the phone, he had this big smile on his face, and he was feeling good, and he said, "Aren't you having fun?" There was no sarcasm to it. And you could tell he was asking me that because that's how he was feeling. We just went from a president of the United States who would call a lid on his day as quickly as his day would start. We had a president who had I wouldn't say a good 45 minutes. There was a relatively alert 45 minutes of a day, an auto pen running this country, and now we have a president who doesn't sleep and he's fighting for us. You think you already did your 4 years. You don't have to do 4 more. You went through 2 assassination attempts for us. He could be living such a fabulous life outside of the hassles and inconveniences, the complexities of being our president. But no, that is what drives him to work harder for all of us. And it drives our cabinet to all work as hard as we can for all of you. When the president called me up the Sunday morning right after the election, he asked me to be the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency. I'm going to admit, wasn't expecting it. We had a few conversations after the Tuesday election. We're talking about some different things that he had in mind, but he knew this is exactly what he wanted to do, and he was just so motivated into it. I said, Mr. President, if you like it, I love it, let's do it. And he had a list of 15 or 20 different specific things he wanted us to accomplish at the EPA. We have so much of the deregulatory agenda at our agency, so much of a green new scam and these green slush funds that had to end accountability, where money was going to well-connected left-wing friends, those who were working in the Biden and Obama administration's Democratic donors, getting their hands on our hard-earned tax dollars. The president wanted me to go find it and put an end to it. He wants our permits to go faster, to take less time, cost less money, have more certainty. He wants to bring trillions of dollars into this country, and it is already happening. This president wants to unleash energy dominance, and I see that progress every day. He wants to fight for that American auto worker, to protect and bring back American auto jobs, and I see all the developments with the policies of this administration making it possible. Some of you were with me back in 2018 in Jerusalem, as the president was fulfilling a campaign promise that was not just his promise to move the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. He was fulfilling a campaign promise of so many presidents and presidential candidates who had come before him. See, it's one thing to say something to get elected. It's something else to deliver on those pledges, those commitments, to be able to keep your promise. And I remember waking up that morning, and the front cover of the Jerusalem Post, which I still have in my office, said, "Promises made, promises kept." There may not be any better slogan in politics than keeping your commitments that you make when earning that trust in the first place. Now, I want all of you to keep something very important top of mind as we move forward. As we think of the link and the intersection between energy and the environment and our economy. See, what I have found is one of the starkest contrasts that exist between liberals and conservatives right now in America is that what I came into inheriting a Biden EPA that was coming out, they thought that in order to protect the environment, we had to suffocate entire sectors of our economy out of existence. Conservatives believe that we can protect the environment and grow the economy, that it's not a binary choice. The Trump EPA chooses both. The American public chose both when they voted November 2024 to put the Trump mandate into effect. And that's why we are in the middle of doing a deregulatory effort right now at EPA that amounts to, in 1 year, more deregulation than entire federal governments in the past have done across every federal agency across entire presidencies. That's one agency in 1 year. One of our proposed rescissions is of the 2009 Obama EPA endangerment finding. If finalized, will be the single largest act of deregulation in the history of the United States of America. I had a great intellect. There's no way you can have a conversation with Mark Levin on his radio show unless it's intellectual. We were talking Constitution and Supreme Court cases. We were talking Loper Bright, Michigan versus EPA, West Virginia versus EPA. See, we as conservatives understand that if it is not an authority that is specifically granted to an agency in the text of statute, that we should not have bureaucrats on top of an ivory tower in Washington deciding to get creative and giving themselves power that Congress did not give to them in statute. That's the Loper Bright decision overturning the Chevron doctrine. The major policies doctrine, saying that when you are going to have what would amount to trillions of dollars of new regulation, that's a decision that should require a debate in Congress, a vote of our elected representatives, instead of those lacking courage trying to kick those tough decisions to those unelected bureaucrats to hoard that power for themselves. This is about giving power back to the people of this country. Now, the two best announcements that we have made this year, on the 100th day of President Trump's term in office, we released a list of our top 100 environmental accomplishments of those first 100 days. And on the 200th day of President Trump's term in office, we released a list of our next top 100 environmental accomplishments from those next 100 days. See, conservatives love our environment. We want to be good stewards of the environment. Go speak to hunters and fishermen. So much of America cherish our beautiful environment. They want cleaner, safer, healthier land, air, and water. The people of Southern California, millions of them, are now seeing the results of operating at Trump speed to end a decades-long Tijuana River raw sewage crisis. For decades it's been going on, but under the Trump administration, we have been able to get agreement on what will be a permanent 100% solution to end it. See, on Trump speed, just days before President Trump came into office, a terrible wildfire hit LA. And there are many people, I'm sure, in this room who were very personally impacted by what took place. Can you imagine, when you're coming into office to inherit something that is as what seems to be apocalyptic as that was. Over 13,000 properties destroyed. Incompetency at the state and local government that is mind-boggling. And President Trump came in, he signed an executive order right away, and he said, EPA, you have 30 days to complete your hazardous material removal under phase 1 so that the Army Corps can come in for phase 2 to do their debris removal. And the original response was, well, that was going to be impossible. Well, enter President Trump. And when he says that this needs to get done in 30 days, that means that we will get it done and did get it done in 28 days. That's real environmental action and accomplishment. See, we can't complete our thought and our understanding of exactly what we inherited without looking at the ways through inefficiencies, and in many cases, I wouldn't say reckless, it was deliberate, in the way that your tax dollars were being wasted and abused, lit on fire, tens of billions of dollars that were going through an agency that didn't even know how to spend it in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. When it was President Biden and the Democratic Congress, they appropriated $27 billion to go through the EPA. Our annual operating budget is about $10 billion a year and going down. In 2024, EPA obligated and spent over $60 billion. Now, if you're wondering as you sit there, well, how much is the EPA costing us under the Trump administration? Well, I said our annual operating budget is about $10 billion. And so far this year, I have canceled over $29 billion worth of grants that were going through this agency. I mean, if you want to talk waste, I have examples for you of grants where the dollar was passing through 4 pass-throughs, where each of them were collecting their own cut to administer their portion of the pass-through. Think how diluted your dollar was. See, we watch the left when they have terms that they're using for organizing and they define it in a way that will build support. Words like environmental justice, climate justice, climate change. You come up with a definition of your term, you build widespread support, and then in the name of those terms, with your newfound power that comes from you entrusted by the people, you abuse it. See, climate justice, in the name of that term, led to $50 billion going to a group called Climate Justice Alliance. They say that climate justice runs through a free Palestine. And I don't know any way you want to possibly define the term climate justice, but I'm pretty sure that most of America would want to ensure that a dollar that is used for remediating an environmental issue is gone directly towards remediating an environmental issue right here in the United States of America, not towards a group that says that climate justice runs through a free Palestine. So, sorry, bad news. Sorry, not sorry, I guess, for those out there who were fighting with that belief that that's where the $50 million should go. That $50 million have been canceled. In the name of environmental justice, they'll say, well, there are these communities in this country that have suffered environmental damage. They need help remediating important environmental issues. And when they make a compelling case with that definition, we say, what can we do? We want to help. Okay, this is how you help. In the name of environmental justice, we are going to be giving money, $20 billion in fact, to 8 pass-through entities run by all sorts of former Obama and Biden officials as pass-through entities. And when the money goes through them, it'll go through, in many cases, other pass-through entities. And I, as administrator of EPA, couldn't even tell you the basic answers to your important questions as to where this money would go. That's where you hear President Trump often talk about the $2 billion that went to that Stacey Abrams-linked NGO. That was out of this $20 billion. That NGO received $100 in 2023. And then the Biden EPA gave them $2 billion in 2024. But even the Biden EPA knew that they needed to ensure that some basic standards had to be put on that grant agreement. So understanding the lack of competency of the people receiving your $2 billion, they required the grantee to complete training called How to Develop a Budget. They had 90 days to complete the training, by the way, but in the first 21 days, they are encouraged to start spending down the balance. Well, all of these grants that we speak of are canceled. This is a room filled with passionate Jewish Republicans. American Jews. And there's so much at any given time that motivates us to want to do everything in our power to be fighting for this country that we love. I didn't think the day after the election that I'd be spending 2025 as administrator of EPA. I found out soon that that's exactly what President Trump wanted. And I said to him, if you like it, I love it. We're all answering a call in our own ways. And if we needed any reminder of what's at stake, we reflect on what happened September 10th. Assassinating my friend Charlie Kirk. We have to be realistic at what the other side is willing to do with their vision of where they want to take this country. But this group, filled with people who I can vouch for as my friends, many of you my friends for life, as we enjoy our time here, I guess with a little bit of inspiration, knowing that right next door at the Sphere they're playing Wizard of Oz, it feels like home when you come to the RJC here for this meeting. And as we think of Zeldin, and David Flom, and Jeff Feingold, and Sam Fox, and all those came before us, we are reminded why there's nowhere more important for all of us to be than right here, right now, being active in an amazing, legendary organization that will continue to grow stronger because of all of us stepping up and knowing what we are up against in this fight, in the way the other side organizes, the way the other side right now, in ways that they haven't even done in the not too distant past, are willing to go the lengths that they are willing to go to fight for their cause that they believe, but because our cause of freedom and liberty, of a country that is the greatest country in the history of the world. The Republican Jewish coalition will remain strong, and because of that, the United States of America will always have a better chance of being stronger with the days and the years and the decades and the generations and the centuries that are ahead. As we enter into America 250, the Republican Jewish coalition will be there having the back of everything that is right and just, fighting for what is a great, exceptional nation that we will never apologize for. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you've done for me, and more importantly, what you have done for President Trump and the United States of America. God bless you.